Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Hi friends, we are going to make a batch of sourdough chocolate chip cookies today. And if you're like me, when you first heard that term, if you've heard about sourdough cookies, I kind of thought, oh, wait a minute, how does that go together? My only perception of sourdough had to do with like breads, like savory breads. So in my efforts to learn how to do more sweet things with sourdough, I am going to make a batch of sourdough chocolate chip cookies. Now, this recipe calls for sourdough discard, which is a bonus because as you feed your sourdough starter every day, unless you have something to do with some of it, if you're not going to bake every day or make big batches of stuff, there's no way you would ever use all of the sourdough starter that you have. Now, I gave away a whole bunch of sourdough starter by posting on my neighborhood Facebook group right at the first of the year, and had a lot of people super excited to come and get a mature active starter because they were new to sourdough. And I know in the beginning for me it was kind of frustrating to have to wait until I could see that the sourdough was really alive. So I do share it from time to time. If you are interested in having me send you some sourdough starter, I can make that happen. You'll just need to leave a comment or send me a message via email or contact me at our RichKat Ranch Facebook page and let me know where to send it. So this recipe, again, calls for sourdough discard, which is great just because I've got a whole lot of sourdough starter and I need to do something with it. And I think I've got everything pretty much laid out and ready to combine to make these cookies. So follow along. I am still new, relatively new to the sourdough world. It will have been a year that I started the journey in about another month. So I'm enjoying making savory breads, and I am now dipping my toes into the sweet confection world of sourdough. So let's get started. Again, I've got everything already measured out. The recipe and directions will be in the comments, but I hope I've got this set up where you can see well. And here we go. So I've got one stick of butter softened already in my mixing bowl, and I just didn't open this one yet because I just want to put a plug in. Please use real butter when you're baking. I just can't tell you the difference it makes in the texture and the flavor to use real butter. And man, I don't want any of this to go to waste. So let's get this softened butter that's stuck to the package off of here. And to that butter, we're going to add our sugars, which is pretty typical for making sweet things. So I've got a cup of lightly packed light brown sugar. We'll just dump that right in there. This is definitely a time when I'm wishing I had a stand mixer, because there's a lot of mixing that's going to go on. And if you've ever made cookies, at some point the dough sometimes gets pretty firm and kind of hard to work with the hand mixer. We'll also add a cup of granulated white sugar. And we're going to just get these blended together and kind of whipped up until they're nice and creamy. Okay, so that took about 5 minutes. I don't know that it would be any faster with a stand mixer, but yeah, nice and creamy. Can you see that? And the objective is just to get the sugar to kind of absorb the moisture from the butter so that it's not so grainy. All right, so we've got that ready. And next up, we are going to add our eggs. I will say, I feel like I'm at an advantage. This particular recipe calls for 2 large eggs. And because I raise ducks, obviously, I've got big eggs available to me. I don't know what that is. Oh, I think some brown sugar fell in there. So I do collect eggs every day. But I always still, if I'm going to be using them in a recipe, I do still crack them one at a time before I put them into whatever container they're going to be mixed with. So I hope I'm in the frame. I can't see. So I've already cracked one. And we'll go ahead and add that one. And then I just use a small bowl. And if you haven't done your egg cracking the way I'm going to do it, I feel like it really does give you a more controlled crack. So instead of cracking it over the side of the bowl, like most of us, I think, probably learned to do as we were growing up and learning how to bake, I just crack it on the counter. It gets can you see that? A nice crack there. Then we'll just go in and separate. Now, duck eggs can sometimes have pretty thick shells to work with, so the cracking on the counter, I think, is an even better way to make sure you crack all the way through it. Otherwise, if you don't hit it on the side of a bowl hard enough, obviously you can get eggshells in the bowl. All right, so there's my eggs. And to the eggs, we're also going to add some vanilla. This recipe calls for 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And that's right here. I think I have 2 teaspoons left in this bottle. As I've said before, I feel like at some point when I get more comfortable with sourdough, I won't necessarily have to measure as much, because for most of my baking life, I have just eyeballed. So if I'm making cakes or, muffins, things like that, often I will just eyeball it. And I look for consistency. You know, after you've done something a couple of times, and in the beginning I did use recipes, but after you've done something a couple of times, you just start kind of remembering how much goes in and what it should look like once you've got it all mixed together. So we'll get this mixed together, and then we'll be ready for the next step. All right, we've got that blended. I blended that for about 2 minutes. And now we are going to slowly add our dry ingredients. So this is flour, salt, baking soda, and baking powder. And we'll just get this added a little bit at a time. Easier said than done. Arthritis doesn't help, y'all, because when I try to hold that bowl, the bend of my fingers is really, it makes it uncomfortable. I guess this would be a real advantage to a stand mixer, because I wouldn't have to stop that thing. Oops, we'll scrape my bowl. All right, let's put the last of this in. Whew. So that's again kind of thick. It does get a little bit harder to work with. So I have to turn the speed of the mixer up as I add more and more dry ingredients. Otherwise, it can't even make it through because of how thick the batter gets. Let me wash my hands right quick. Okay. I didn't add my sourdough discard when I did my butter and sugar, and I probably should have. So let's just get that in there now. This is a 1/2 cup of discard. So super easy. Don't have to measure by grams or ounces or... And then we'll run that mixer through it one more time. This is real life. It doesn't always, you don't always get everything in the order you intended to do it. Right, so now we're going to fold in 2 cups of chocolate chips. These are dark chocolate chips. I like dark chocolate. And, you know, for years and years, I was not able to eat chocolate at all because it gave me migraines. But I learned that dark chocolate wasn't a problem for me. Now, interestingly enough, in the last probably 2 years, my chocolate issue has gone away. So now I can have any kind of chocolate. I love chocolate. Yeah, this is pretty thick. This might be easier with a wooden spoon. Obviously, we want these to be as evenly distributed as possible. Oh yeah, so this is a little easier. And I'm not going to bake these right away. So we'll get all this mixed. I might even add a few more chocolate chips. I sure like a lot of chocolate chips in them. I might just add this whole bag. Yeah, there's not that many left in there. Just be nice and ooey gooey when they come off of the cookie sheets. So again, I'm going to get it mixed and then we'll let it refrigerate. I'm probably only going to let it refrigerate for a couple of hours. If you want more fermentation from the sourdough discard, you can leave it in the refrigerator for up to 24 hours. And one of the benefits of sourdough is that it makes whatever it's used in more digestible. So if you have, you know, some gastrointestinal issues, sourdough might just be a great option for you. Sourdough breads and, again, cookies, muffins. Okay, I think that's good. All right, so we're gonna get as much of this off of here as we can. Waste not, want not. There's a blob right there. And then I'll just put some plastic wrap over the bowl and let it sit in the fridge for a couple of hours. And we'll be back to make cookies. Okay, so we just play a little waiting game now for a couple of hours. And then I'll be back with you shortly. Oh, I guess I can tell you. So today is Sunday, March 2nd. And it is, we're going to look at the temperature together because it's warm in the house, let me tell you. And I'm sorry I'm not glamorous. I don't get glamorous ever. All right, it is 76 degrees today. Feels a little warmer in the house because we don't have any windows open or anything, so there's not much air moving through. All right, we're ready to make some cookies. So So it's been more like 4 hours since I put this in the fridge, because I put it in the fridge and then when there was about a half hour left on the timer, I decided to cook some late lunch, early dinner. I'm going to do, like a couple of tablespoons, not quite a couple tablespoons. What does that come to? Yeah. We're just going to roll these in a ball. Put them on a cookie sheet. And I do like them kind of on the big side. I don't know that extra couple of hours in the fridge, if it was even really that long, will benefit us as far as fermentation, but the longer the better. Yeah, it's still pretty sticky. My fridge may not be as cold as I think it is. Although it is so warm in the house, y'all. We'll have to see what kind of shape they come out in, since it looks like it's a little bit hard to get it into an actual ball shape. I have a good number of cookie sheets, but these two are thicker, and I like how things turn out when I cook on them. There's no rolling to this dough, y'all. I'm gonna have the equivalent of a whole cookie just stuck to my hand when we get finished. So these should sit about 2 inches apart from each other on the cookie sheet, because they're gonna spread. While I try to get this sticky dough off my fingers. The oven was preheating. Well, actually I cooked part of what we had for the late lunch, early dinner at 375. I roasted some potatoes to make smashed potatoes and some Brussels sprouts. All right, and now into the oven they're going to go. Boone, you have to move, honey. Okay, so back on track. Oven was preheating to 375, so it was nice and hot already when I got the dough out of the oven. Start cooking. So we're going to put these in the middle rack, or on the middle rack, for 10 to 12 minutes. I'm going to set it for 11 minutes. We'll see. Oop. And obviously you want the edges to be kind of browned and crispy looking. I like chewier cookies. I like them a little more on the chewy side. And I'm going to get my cooling racks ready. Although I got to have room for the cookie sheets again when I take them out of the oven. So we'll leave the other dough in the refrigerator while these are cooking. Obviously I don't have to cook the whole batch for you to get the purpose of the video, but once they come out of the oven, I'll let them cool for a minute and then we'll do a taste test. This is the first time I've made sourdough chocolate chip cookies, so we'll see. I know people that make them think they're the bomb, so I'd love to find out that I'm on that list also. So be back in a bit when it's time to take this first batch of cookies out of the oven. Oh, let's go this way. Let's see what we got. I think they're done. Okay, let's take these out. Let them sit for a minute. You know, you can't take them off of the cookie sheet too quickly or they just fall apart. So we got to let them sit there for just a minute. That's another reason to maybe not let them go the whole 12 minutes, because they're going to keep sitting and cooking. Those over there look a little more done. I wonder, well, my oven My oven probably needs to be calibrated. I know it doesn't cook evenly, you know, from side to side. And a lot of times I have to, halfway through something, flip the pans around, like move the pan that was on the left over to the right and do the front, move the front to the back, that kind of a thing. But it doesn't, you know, it's okay. If we have some cookies that are a little crunchier than others, that's okay. But, oh man, I think they're going to be awesome. See how they spread out? I didn't quite get them all evenly spaced enough that they wouldn't touch each other, but we'll just break them apart again here in just a minute after they have a little time to cool. So let's see if we can get these off of the cookie sheet now. I want to do that other cookie sheet first, just again because I can tell they're a little more done. So let's see if we can somehow switch places here. Okay, so we'll break them apart. Cooling rack here. The dogs want some airtime, I guess. I feel bad for anyone that goes jogging down the street or that's out walking their dog, because the boys think they have to alert me anytime there's movement outside the house. It smells delicious in here. That's for sure. This is going to make a lot of cookies, that's for sure. So y'all saw I didn't use much of the dough that was in that bowl at all yet. But we've got 6, 9, 12, 15 cookies already. I want to reuse this parchment paper at least a couple times before I think about replacing it. But let's see. They're still pretty hot. Well, let's just see. I'm going to take this one. So we got a nice golden bottom. Again, browned around the edges, but they're still very soft. I don't know how hot it's going to be. That's perfect as far as consistency, texture. So there's definitely a salty and sweet element to it. I do use salted butter. Oh, those are cooked perfectly. I'm sure y'all are fascinated watching me eat a cookie on screen. But that's this iteration of recipe sharing on the channel today. Sourdough chocolate chip cookies. Thumbs up. Takes a little time to do them. I mean, anything you bake on your own pretty much takes a little while to do it. So I don't know that you can use that as a factor in whether it's worth it or not. There's some therapy to be had by working with your hands and making things from scratch, at least for me. So it's an enjoyable day. Not something that I can swing quite as easily if it's not a weekend and Richard's not here to at least step in if the dogs get really rowdy or crazy. So I do tend to do these things more when he's home. We'll see if he eats any of these. You know how picky he is. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Ask me questions if you have any questions. Again, the recipe will be in the description for the video. And I'll see you guys on Friday this week, March 7th, for the next live stream, 2 o'clock Central Time. And be safe wherever you are. I hope you're happy and well. Spring is here now. I think meteorological spring. There may be different springs, and we do have a potential for some dangerous weather overnight tomorrow night, or is it Tuesday night? Sometime this week there's a potential for dangerous weather, which here in the spring means tornadoes and hail and damaging winds. But we'll see. A lot of times when they try to prepare us for it, it doesn't happen. And then other times everyone is surprised because something develops out of nowhere and no one is prepared. So we may do some practice runs of getting all the dogs into the east hallway, just so their memories are refreshed if and when the time comes. But I love you all. I love spending time with you. I'm so honored that you stopped by the channel. If you will, give this video a like and share it with your friends. That's always appreciated. And subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.